Hi everyone, it's Signe from Sign of Horses, straight from my home, because I'm going to show you in this video how to make a Viking tunic. This is going to be a two-part video. I wanted to make it in just one long video, but it just got too long. I hope it inspires you to start sewing yourself, because it's really not that hard, and you just have to be brave enough to fail. That's what Release Your Inner Viking is about. Go for it. Enough talking. Let's get going. Let's get sewing. This is my favorite, and actually my only Viking dress, but I love the linen. This is such a beautiful kind of coarse but still soft linen, and it's heavier and it just feels great, and it shapes to your form. It's a beautiful linen. So that's my Viking linen dress, and it does it fine as a medieval underdress as well. Then I have a tunic, my brown tunic, which I've been wearing a lot over the years as well. And then the latest one I made is this lovely teal one. I dyed the fabric with machine dye, and this is a very, very light fabric, so it's really good for summer and days when you want to be a little have a little bit of a lighter fabric. Decorated it with this lovely piece that Instagram, Facebook friend gave to me, which I adore still. Can't believe that was a gift, and it's so precious to me now. I love to wear it. Yep, I have some felt on the collar so it stays nice and upright. That was a lesson I learned from this one. And again, hand sewn all the edges, all the visible edges. So these are my dress and my two tunics. And I'm about to make another one, and I want the length to be in between these two. I found a white, hopefully linen, I think it's linen. I got it secondhand from somebody who wanted to get rid of it. I didn't like white, I still don't like white for a dress, so I'm going to dye it. So I've dyed the linen, and that also means it's pre-shrunk, so I'm pretty safe with washing this once it's a garment. I got myself some thread, and I need a pair of scissors to cut the pattern. I'm going to make a tunic dress, somewhere in between a tunic and a dress. So that means that the top part is going to be pretty much the same, just the bottom part I want to change. I am going to make it like 15 centimeters longer. I'm using my dress and my tunic as a pattern, so I don't have to actually make a new pattern. I'm just using what I already have. I've laid down my old tunic on the fabric so I can see where I'm going to cut. Just find the seams, fold the fabric. Some of the parts are going to be an educated guess because I've sewn a lot of clothing, and that makes it a lot easier. If this is your first time sewing, or even your second time, it might be a good idea to draw a pattern on a piece of paper. I'm going to show you how a basic Viking tunic pattern is drawn up, and you can find loads of examples of like these on the internet. Google it if you like, but here's how I do it. Now, if you have a piece of fabric, it's usually folded in half. It's mainly 1 meter and 40 centimeters wide, and it's usually folded in half like this. So what you are going to need is the front bit and the back bit, and you're gonna use the length of the fabric and the width of the fabric. Now I simply cut the pieces like this. So these are 2 cuts, and that will give you a front and a back of the tunic. That will give you these 2 pieces. So this will be your shoulder width, and same here. They have to be identical. Then we are going to need the sleeves, and for the sleeves I'm just going to cut lengthwise, so your arms should not be any longer than 70 centimeters. And I just tend to round off the top bit a little bit. I'll show you in the video, it will be clear. And of course you're using the width of the sleeve here. So that gives you 2 sleeves. And then you have a piece of fabric left over to cut gores from. To cut these triangle gores from. So I do it like that, and then we have 2 gores already, and we have a little piece left over where you can cut your armpit squares from. In this video, when I cut the gores, I folded the fabric like this. So I could cut them like that. And have 1, 2, 3, 4 gores. If this looks complicated, don't worry, it's not. Just follow the video step by step. I'll show you how I do it, and hopefully it'll be a lot clearer, and then you can start sewing yourself. And for the back, I'm actually using the front piece I already cut as a pattern, so they're identical, the front and the back. Yep, so that's the front and the back. Now all I need is the sleeves and the weird little armpit triangle thingies. Easy. I'm going to cut some sleeves. Now for the sleeves I actually have a pattern. As you can see, it fits exactly in the width of the fabric, so yay! And it has a bit of a sleeve shape to it. This is something I did, it's a modernization of the pattern. They used to cut it straight, but for me this gives it a little bit more shoulder shape to the thing. And then here's the little triangle. It's not a triangle, what is this called? It's like a diamond shape thing. This is going to be the armpit. It goes here. It's hard to see now, but this attaches to the sleeve and this attaches to the tunic, and same on the other side. In the finished tunics you can see it. It just gives you the room to lift up your arm. If you wouldn't have these triangles in, then your arm would be stuck halfway. As you can see, this one is quite a lot bigger than the one I have in here. This is actually with seam allowance, so I could use this exactly and then have the seam allowance with there. These sleeves are pretty well fitted, as you can see, but that also means that it's hard for me to put them up in summer. I'm thinking of making the new sleeves a little bit bigger. Now to do that, if you have a ready-made pattern, it's pretty easy. You just cut it wider. This is also including seam allowance. Now it would be silly to place the pattern on the fabric like this with the natural fold of the fabric there. It would be much more wise to put it down like that, because here you have the self edge of the fabric, which means it doesn't fray and you don't have to do anything to it. You can just fold it in and that's it. If you take a screenshot from this moment, then you can probably reproduce it. Move it over just slightly so I have space left to put this in. Hi! I just realized you haven't seen my face in the entire vlog. Hi vlog! Because the camera is upside down pointing towards the floor. So yeah, it's me. Hi! I'm in my pajamas still. This little nobulette, this little triangle on the top of the sleeve, is just for me to know where it attaches to the mid seam of the shoulders. I'll show you when I'm sewing why this is useful. That's it. Modern day sleeves have less space in front than back, so you can move your arms forward. We humans tend to move our arms forward more than we move them backward. So in the back there's more space, so you have the space to actually move your arm forward, and the front doesn't have as much space, so that's why this is not in the dead center of the sleeve. We are not symmetrical beings, so our clothes shouldn't be symmetrical either. The next part I want to make are these darts that go in the seams. For this new tunic I'm gonna do one in the back and do 2 at the side, so I'm gonna need 3 of these. They're triangle shape, triangular with a rounded bottom, so they fit the shape of the tunic. Pretty easy to cut, only the new pattern needs to be 16.5 centimeters longer. So I think I'm going to grab a piece of paper, draw these out so I can fit them on the fabric. I'm taking in 1 centimeter of, that's about the width of the measuring tape by the way, of a seam allowance for the seams, so I'm adding that as I go along. And also I want these darts to be a little bit wider. I want it to be a really wide, luxurious tunic with lots of swoosh to it. So I was thinking of adding a bit, and I tend to just go overboard, so I'm trying to find like middle ground where it would be luxurious but not too weird. Here we go. There we are. I'm going to cut up this pattern now, not with these scissors. These are my fabric scissors. Never ever cut paper with your fabric scissors because they will blunt, and you want a good pair of scissors for your fabric. So I have I have like 8 different pairs of scissors, but I'm not using these for paper. These will do. So there we have it. That's a pattern that I can now follow. I'm putting it next to the natural fabric fold, so I will have twice this when I cut it, so it will double up. Watch this. Open it up. I'm going to create 2 natural folds. So I'm bringing in the one side to the center and then the other side to the center as well. like so, and that will give me space to cut. And then you already see the problem that we run into is that the fabric is not wide enough for the width of the thing I created. And like I said, I added a couple of centimeters because I want it to be really wide, and that is why there's restrictions to how wide you can go. So you have to work with the fabric. Now, if I was desperate to have this extra bit, I would be able to do so by using up more fabric, but I want to be economical with this fabric, and I don't mind slimming it down a little bit like that. I just fold the pattern to where it can go, to the maximum it can go. That's fine, that'll do. Now, can you imagine that if I cut this out here, and I cut it out on the other side, that in the middle will actually be left over another triangle shape, or actually two triangle shapes because this is double, and that will probably be the same triangle that two of these will yield. So I end up with 4 darts out of like a meter of fabric, which is brilliant. Three whole ones and 2 halves. The 2 halves I'm going to skip for now. Now you can imagine that if this is the front of the tunic and you're going to have these to each side, like so, and I'll add one to the back panel in the back, so you can imagine how much fabric, how much width the bottom of the tunic will have. I have the sleeves with the sleeve triangles, sleeve diamond. I have the front and the back, and I have the side darts to give more shape to the tunic dress. All the pattern pieces are cut. Remnant leftover fabric out of 4 meters, and these are my cut pattern pieces. I'm ready to go sewing now.